When I've worked with companies before, one of the very first things I look at is corporate culture.
I hate it here! I want to go home!
What's up, everyone? Katriel C Sarfati here again. Making this video because it's been a very interesting time. I actually just shared something on LinkedIn. I saw an article in the Washington Post. Watch people's reactions to this. One side you had people, employees primarily, saying, dude, of course, like, they suck, they treat us like shit. And then you had the other side, middle management and employers coming along the lines of like, oh, back in my day we did it this way and we did it that way. So it's very interesting, and it's almost insulting to watch these companies act brand new. They're like flabbergasted. Oh my god, you know, how is it possible for every employee to want to leave? I got to South Florida 2 years ago, and without naming names, I got involved with different projects, both on the public sector and the private sector. And their main focus was attracting talent, getting the best of the best. Which then leads me to this part. Employers today would rather bitch and moan and audit and micromanage their talent and treat them like assets other than people, then instead of actually just owning it. A lot of the I keep saying fuckery. A lot of the crap that you see today comes from the top. Biggest problem was that, first of all, they didn't know what the fuck they were looking for, and two, they wouldn't pay. It's mind-boggling sometimes to see these companies have this huge list of prerequisites. You need a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, you should have cured cancer by the time you were 30, and by the way, we're going to give you $53,000. And that right there is the number one fuck up of most companies. They don't want to actually harness any talent. They want someone to walk in, have everything for them. Imagine if you're a person, actually let's use real estate as an example here. Let's say you're a real estate agent and you have a book of business of return clientele, pretty steadily, gives you 5 transactions a month. Why would you go to a business, a brokerage, and give them 50% of your book? However, most corporations, that's exactly how they work. They want you to bring this plethora of everything. They want all this experience, which then leads to other fuckery, such as we're having oh man, this one might ruffle some feathers, but this was a recent company that I talked to. Is they were touting this. We hired with diverse backgrounds and everything. Here's why part of that is bullshit. I looked over their hiring practices. Their hiring practices was not different at all from corporate America. This was a startup, sorry. I didn't, say that beforehand. But they touted themselves as this forward-thinking, whatever, yada yada. But at the end of the day, they hired exactly like a corporation, big corporation. They wanted top-notch schools. They wanted to know that you worked with big companies. They wanted to know that you came with all the right referrals from all the right people. You can see how that starts to sound like regurgitated crap from the companies they themselves left. On one hand, you have a company that has just horrible retention. The average employee leaves within 2 to 3 months. Then you have another company that can't seem to find the talent. Now, this is why I'm making this video. I talked to the CEO of company B, and the immediate red flag that I got was, it's so hard to find good help. That's a red flag. Reason being, when I then proceeded to ask, oh, well, what's your number one problem? I then got, oh, well, this person that originally was here, they didn't have the drive, they didn't have the hunger. Cool. What perks did you give them? What training did you give them? What pay did you give them? Now, here's the thing. A lot of times, those things get overlooked. It's kind of weird for a CEO, COO, whatever, to sit there and bitch and moan about their talent not performing to this absurd standard, but conveniently overlooked how there was no training, no support, overworking, all this fuckery that doesn't actually allow you to do your job. And that right there is usually very, very telling. I ask, who needs the most help? Right then and there, you get to see what the corporate culture looks like, because some of them might actually be able to identify the person. But very often, when I ask them, oh, cool, what have you done to remedy it? Guess what I hear? I tend to hear, Oh, well, I gave them this PDF, I signed them up for this, I did that for them. None of it is what is good for the employee. It's a lot of, well, I did it this way, why can't they get it? To partner up with someone, or just within your organization, if you have the balls to do it. You know, if you want to ruffle some feathers, piss off your board, hell, start a new company. Find a way to document everything that you see is wrong, how you would remedy it, and then leverage that. Right now, there's a company, what their executive team is doing is they're basically taking a case study of everything that's wrong, everything that got overlooked, even though it would have helped them, and they're taking it with them to the next job that they're going to. That next job is now sitting there and asking them, hey, give me those case studies. Let me know what not to do. If your company's not training you, try to find yourself some training. And that's considering if, you know, that's albeit if you want to stay in this position or stay in this field of work that you're in. Get yourself some training. There's a lot of resources out there. And also practice networking and selling yourself. And I don't mean going to these networking events and handing everyone your card and saying, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I do such and such. No. What I mean by that is get out there, see what the needs are, how you're able to fill them, and then find ways to actually package that. Now, if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're seeing your company unfold and unravel or whatever the case may be, take a step back and consider downsizing. If you cannot handle 100 employees, downsize to 50. Get that right first, document the process, and then steadily scale. A big problem that a lot of corporations operate on is this capitalism ideal of I gotta grow, I gotta get bigger, I gotta be the best, I gotta be number one. The problem with that is that you end up essentially being hood rich. And for those of you who don't know what hood rich is, it's essentially I try to look bigger than what I am. You know, to pretend to have more than what I actually have. That is how you end up mismanaging people. Along the line, leadership forgets. As you got into a position of leadership, you work for your employees. Your employees work for your customers. And I know that to some that it might sound counterintuitive, but here's the thing, you're a coach. If you want to win championships, if you want to have amazing sales, you gotta be a good coach. Being a dictator doesn't get you anything. It literally just gets you resentment. It gets you high turnover. Your competition will see that. The reason that startups were such an avalanche that, you know, that's a whole other story, but at the beginning, the very first years, the reason it was such an avalanche is because these middle management types were watching this unfold and they told themselves, we're too big to fail. You know, go out and explore your little project. We'll be fine. Now look at them. I met a guy the other day that was 13 years an executive. Where do you find that man today? That man today works on H&R Block. So rant over. My rant is done. I would be awesome to see more corporations succeed. Ultimately, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing here. We're here to succeed and get ahead. It would be awesome to watch more of them succeed. Ultimately, what it's going to take is for you to self-reflect. And by you, I'm talking to the leadership that's watching this. It's going to take you growing some balls and owning that you might not be as good as you think you are. I don't know if you guys saw that congressional hearing of Google where the guy's like holding up the thing, his iPhone, and he's like, oh, well, do you do this? And the Google CEO is standing there like, dude, we're Google. We don't make that phone. That sort of nonsense.